Fuck them. Am I right? Let's get to some Braves talk. March Madness is here. Best time of the year. The stakes could not be any higher, and that means you are here. Welcome to Braves Talk. It is the Iceman Matt Freites, the coach Brad Powell, the OG Rick Powell, and we got a special guest, BU Dave. Welcome, gentlemen. How you doing, Brad?
Iceman, doing well. Glad to be here. Pumped about Arch Madness. Pumped about Dave being here to join us, and obviously, as always, the ever so eloquent OG in the house to drop some wisdom on us. Looking forward to it. I think everybody's excited, right? We got, this is like Christmas, right? It's Arch Madness Eve, Christmas Eve, whatever. We're super pumped about it. Dad, how you feeling about the Braves?
Took them all except for Bradley.
That was not as good as
not as good.
Your last.
Not as good. You're forcing it now. You just got to be natural with it, just like I did at the top of the show. Fuck everybody but Bradley. Just go ahead and say it and be out there.
I said Luke.
Yeah, whatever.
Why would you say that?
Yeah, why would you say that? We're off to a hot start here. Anyhow, so while the OG tries to keep this PG, we are going to move on to somebody who is decidedly not PG, and that is Bradley Degenerate, Bradley Superfan, Bradley whatever, BU Dave. Dave, thank you for coming on here. Last year, you wrote us a manifesto at the end of the year, waxing nostalgic, showing love for that Bradley team, and you're here now to do the same thing and tell everybody why we are going to win. So how you doing, bud?
Yes, I'm doing great. Luckily for you and for all of these people, I'm not going to bore you with my player breakdown, individual basis, statistic by statistic, and all their personal, information and all that. But
we can just throw away the show notes now, fellas.
So. Yeah, it's over. It's over.
It is over. Absolutely over. So, Dave, you're going to come on here, talk about Arch Madness. We're going to talk about the postseason awards. But, Brad, you do have something a little bit new and fun for us a little bit later on, which we'll tease. So stick around until the end as we do maybe a little mascot talk. Tease that a little bit. So, Dave, first things first, you're obviously a huge Bradley fan, as we just mentioned. And Brad and I and Rick kind of want to know, what's your journey been like to get to where you are with your Bradley fandom?
Yeah, sure. So I moved to Peoria, Illinois, or moved back to. I was born here, but came back in 2001 as a kid. Growing up, a lot of sports in my life and stuff. But when I moved back to Peoria, basketball was everywhere. March Madness experience, walking into the Civic Center and that giant hoop. Gus Macker going on, shutting down the city of Peoria. Everywhere. It wasn't just Peoria, but it was just everywhere. And then you got, Robertson Memorial, regionals, sectional, all the big games were in Peoria. So it's a basketball town. And so then mid 2000s, start going to Bradley games. And, that was obviously kind of the heyday. You got to see some really, really good teams. It's been said 1,000 times on here about, the 2016 being very special. And obviously, it's a big part of why I became a fan at that age. But then I had some battles, in high school. I thought that Bradley was this uppity school and I didn't want to go there. And then I did, and graduated in 16, had a great time there. Just kind of where it is now. My family's been involved for a long time now, a couple decades. Yeah, I've done the BSS program with Bradley for a couple years now. We do the rideouts. I don't know if you guys knew that, but my grandfather started that in 2014, started riding motorcycles out the center court. And since then, it's been my uncle, my dad, myself, and a couple of friends along the way.
That's awesome.
It's been a fun journey. And, what you guys do, the Bradley enthusiasts that brought us all into that group chat, all the things that are Bradley is awesome. And I've only been a part of that for a very short time in a networking standpoint. But shout outs to the people that kind of brought me into that circle with Matt Russ. Matt Russ, great dude. Ted Connolly. I didn't know people cared about Bradley basketball like I do until I met those guys. So
That's a great hook for this show, that group. I didn't know people cared that much. And I think that's why we're here. We are by the fans, for the fans, and you were definitely one of those fans. So I know I'm happy to be here. But Brad, what do you got for Dave?
It's funny you brought up when they had the March Madness experience at the Civic Center. I remember going to that as a kid, right? It was like the only place that a short, chubby white kid could dunk, because they had like the 5 rim or whatever it was, and like
Yeah.
and then they had, one thing that sticks out in my head about that is they had that crazy thing with the bank shots. I don't know if you remember that, like all the different angled, like back.
Oh yeah.
That you had to go through and stuff. So no, man, I have fond memories of doing that as a kid. And you're right, man. Like Peoria is a basketball city. Like when I was a kid, that's when Wayne McLean and Manual was running off all their state championships. And then, my dad introduced me to Bradley in the early 90s. So I was there through the Coach Mo days and, when Anthony Parker was there and everything else. And then, obviously that was on the heels of Hersey Hawkins and the great teams they had in the 80s. It's so funny because like people your age, you guys came up with the 2006 Sweet 16 team. And then my dad tells stories about watching Coach Stoll's teams, back in the 70s and, some of those teams. So it's great to see kind of that contrast of, because there's been a lot of great Bradley basketball over the years, and just now there have been some dark days. There's no doubt about that. We've all lived through some of the more recent dark days, but it's just funny to see kind of where everyone's fandom sort of like ignited and took off. And so it's great to hear that side of it for sure. And yeah, I kind of put 2 and 2 together over time that you were involved with maybe Walters Brothers and all the stuff that was happening with the write-ins and stuff like that with Kaboom. So that's really awesome. That being said, let's kind of move to current times. I mean, we've all been on a bit of a roller coaster this year as fans, just like the team has, but what are your thoughts on the season? How are you feeling right now as we sit on the eve of Arch Madness?
Yeah. So I did a little bit of, deep diving on statistics and stuff. And I mean, it's been mentioned thousands of times. I think that we're still the number 1 3-point field goal percentage team in the nation. So that's something to hang the hat on. Maybe we should shoot more threes right off the bat. If we're number 1 in the country, that's amazing. I never saw that being in the cards. There was another stat that was number 6 and I think it was like efficiency field goal percentage. So I have no idea what that means, but that's pretty cool. Number 6 is good.
Sounds good.
Number 20 in blocks in the nation, number 34 in free throw shooting percentage. If you told me that like 2 or 3 years ago, we didn't have great free throw shooting. With blocks and steals, defense has always been Wardle's thing. So, I mean, I definitely think that this season has reflected that we have good defense, but we also have the number 1 scoring offense. And I think it's Brian Wardle's history. If it's not right, I just said it was. So it's
feel like that's what
I think it's. Yeah. Well, okay, good. So now that I'm in that groove, number 1 all time, Bradley. Actually they get his top 24 in their scoring average per game, so that is pretty cool. And then number 1 in Wardle's history too. So this season though, in a whole, I mean, just 24-7. If you told me that at the beginning of the year, I'd be excited. Super pumped up. I couldn't be mad at that. So as a whole, overall, great moments. Duke Dean hitting the 3 at UIC, down 8 with a minute 50 to go, and we win the game. I never saw that coming. Beating Indiana State by like 50 something. There was definitely great moments, definitely some sour ones too. But yeah, but I mean, just overall, great season. Individually, you didn't have the superstar, all season long by any means, but you did have definitely some moments from everybody, that chipped in to make this team 24-7. So.
And I think that's a great thing because this team can beat you different ways. If you shut one guy down, that doesn't negate our ability to beat you. And nobody has enough guys to shut all our guys down if they're playing well, which what gives me a lot of hope heading into the postseason here. And you mentioned, I know you kind of gone on the road with the Braves a little bit this year at times, to a few road games. What have those experiences been like? Is there anywhere you've really enjoyed going and maybe some other places that weren't so pleasant?
So I only went to 2 away games this year. First one was Nashville, went to Belmont, from what I remember, that game was fantastic.
I was gonna ask.
It's like it was fun. It was a great time. There's no booze sold on campus down there, so definitely hit the streets before you go. But we had a great time down there. Nashville, obviously, a great atmosphere. But yeah, beat Belmont by considerable amount. I think it was like 8 or 9 or 10, somewhere in that ballpark. I bet on that game, actually. Don't tell anybody about that. You're not supposed to bet on your team. But anyways, then went to Des Moines, and obviously we all know what happened there. Picked up the legendary Matt Russ, the tough guy himself. Brought some muscle with me. Took care of business. The whole crowd out there. We had a great showing of Bradley fans there. The place was electric. Demarion Birch, all-time dunk. I mean, geez, dude, cocked back and threw down on the entire city of Des Moines. But it just overall, great experiences on the road this year. Can't complain. Can't complain.
Did you get kicked out of anywhere?
No, actually.
Good for you.
I would say closest at Des Moines. Nashville, they left me alone. I was licking my wounds. We were there for like 2 days before. So if you'd have put a bed down, I'd have slept on it right there. I mean,
Nashville's no stranger to drunken debauchery. They're pretty used to that.
Yeah. No, I think they knew what they were getting by flying us down there 2 days ahead of time. That was a treat. But Des Moines, the student section, we were right next to it. We were right next to the band, right next to the student section. The half of the student section was wild, but that was the half that I wasn't near. So we didn't get to interact with them much until it was too late. And then I realized those were the guys to chirp at, but it's too little too late. So
season's not over, Dave. You still got plenty of time.
Yeah, those students will be down there. Yeah.
There'll be other people.
They had 6,000 at that NAP center. So, it's,
jeez.
Here we go, right? Wheels are falling off, please.
Listen, Bradley, win Arch so that we can see Dave at the NCAA tournament, because that would just be outstanding content.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Dad, you got any questions for Dave about the season and his experiences?
I don't know. Do you think we have a Jekyll and Hyde? What do you want to call it? Personality, sort of. I mean, I look at the Murray State at home. Go out and lay an egg for the first 5-6 minutes. Get down 14-0, come back, take a lead, then a small lead, and then kind of the same thing, get down double digits again, and just come roaring back. But I think that's kind of the makeup of our team. I mean, we kind of like sometimes we'll lay back, like a mindset that we got this, and then they come back and they do what they have to do to win. In most cases. I mean, there was a point in time I was wondering, I mean, there was a time early in the Valley season that I even made comments, on the chat, that there's not a first, second, or third team player on that
one of the
team.
most absurd things you've ever said, by the way.
Well, I mean, the way they were playing is seriously, in the way they were playing, though, I mean, they weren't throwing up numbers, or even to the eye test wasn't looking like even a third team player, some of them. So, I mean, and hey, kudos to Duke and Jaquan, Zeke, and Hannah, and I think CD got robbed on the defensive team. Someone ain't looking at something in that case.
Well, and we'll get to that stuff in a minute, but before we move too far along, Dave, got to know, what are your plans for this weekend for Arch Madness? Are you? I'm assuming, I think you've mentioned you're heading down that way in the chat. What's on tap for BU Dave and St. Louis?
So, you talked about drunken debauchery in Nashville. St. Louis is going to get round 2 this year. Okay. Round 2 of BU Dave is going to be a hot one. I've never actually experienced the full totality of the weekend. So heading down Thursday, going to catch the UIC and Valpo game there. So after that, we've developed a couple of buddies. Ted also is going to be here. We're going to drive down. Ted has developed this relationship with the buddy from UIC. So we're hang out with those guys a little bit there, cheer them on, and then cheer them on again. Maybe they could take one from you and I, and then come get dusted by the Braves. So I wanted to comment real quick. You said Jekyll and Hyde, Rick. I think they're really hot at times. I think they win when it matters the most. That senior day against you and I, They wanted to win that game. You and I didn't have as much, on the, maybe on the plate there as far as a need. But we took it. We took it from them. Anytime that we've absolutely needed something, we've got it. I think that that last episode of what Bradley's version of the Hard Knocks, if you will, you saw that Cade Hardkey comment, that locker room talk, that we can't, or we're going to win every possession, every 20-minute half. He started with 20-minute half. We're going to win every 20-minute half. We're going to win every possession. We have to win every possession. He knows how much it means. The team knows how much it means. You got a group of seniors that, as far as my recent recollection, I can't remember having 3,000-point scores. This is a team that's well traveled, and it's got some good experience. So I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's easy for me to say this, and I'm cocky as all get out when it comes to this, but we're the team to beat, right? Like I truly feel that, though. I really do.
Yeah.
I really do. We're the hottest team coming in last 6 out of 7.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that's got the team to beat is Drake, and they're a very good team. Yeah, but I mean, they're starting to feel it. You can see it the way they've played lately.
Yeah, you can see it in their fans on Twitter's posts. I mean, they're on there all day talking about what do we have to do to get the at large.
Yeah,
because they don't anticipate it. They know it's hard. Like, it's tough to win this tournament.
Well, it's going to be a different atmosphere than what they're used to. I don't even know if they're non-conference, all these D2 players, and that played in such a big arena, the atmosphere that's going to be in front of them. So
there's no doubt that the guys on that team, the dudes that McCollum brought with them, those guys know how to win. They won a couple national championships, right? I mean, so they're winners. There's no denying that. But, to do it at this level is another thing. And to go down to, Arch Madness is its own beast. And to go down there and put together 3 good games in 3 days, especially with as many minutes as they play some of those guys, that's going to be a tall ask, man. And I tell you what, truthfully, if they're able to pull it off, tip of the cap to them, man, because it's going to be a tough test for sure. And I mean, obviously, we hope that's not the case because we all anticipate the Braves being there ready to take care of business and punch their ticket. And as we were talking about kind of the Jekyll and Hyde thing, I was thinking, I feel like Bradley plays their best basketball sometimes when their back's against the wall and when they're facing adversity. And it's almost like they can't quite get themselves up to play unless there's some adversity to overcome. It's like they're so used to that underdog role. I know for sure they don't intentionally dig holes for themselves, but it's almost, you could almost believe that they create their own adversity just so they can battle back and overcome it sometimes. Because they play so well when they are like being doubted and people start to lose belief in them or whatever the case. And I mean, that's a great trait to have, but it'd also be nice sometimes to just come out and just be the best team and blow the doors off people once in a while.
I mean, they showed themselves how well they can play and what their peak is on senior night. And if that's not motivation enough to get it done 3 games in a row, I don't know what is. And I don't think that they should need us to tell them that they're underperforming. They should know what they're capable of. And hopefully they have that momentum. I mean, I would be shocked if they didn't. And that's just something that I'm expecting from this team. And I'll be pissed if they come out and look like shit in the first half of the first game. Because it's like, what you're capable of. You know what you can do. Go out there and do it.
Yeah, that would be frustrating. No doubt about that. But I think we've seen this team do that enough that we wouldn't. If we're within 10 at halftime, I'm not sweating anything. Like I've been like that in every game this season. Like it's like be within 10 at halftime. I feel pretty good about it. And I mean, sure, maybe it hasn't always worked out that way, but I think that we get better. Like, the deeper the water, as in the longer the game goes, the longer the season goes. Like I feel like we get better in those situations. If we can take these teams deep water, I feel really good about our chances. Go ahead.
It goes back to the UIC game. Because a lot of times, how far down are you and what time of the clock are you at? And go back to the UIC. At UIC, what were we down like 8?
Down
make a double dish.
Yeah.
But it was like 7, 8 minutes to go and come back and
Would you say, Dave, 8 with a minute 50?
It was a minute 50. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
I can look today. Yeah. I mean, that was almost a turn off the TV moment. It's not that I didn't believe. It's just, you dig yourself a hole like that. But I mean, Duke Dean
Well, let's go back. I mean, we can go back further yet, beyond members of this particular team. And you go back to the first tournament win by Bradley against Northern Iowa. We were down 18 points with like 10, 11 minutes left and won it by 4 or 5.
That was my first Arch Madness game, by the way. That was the first one I ever went to, is that Sunday UNI Panther game. So that was
a good one to be in.
That's where
Lukeman Lundy
4 point per game average. Lukeman Lundy became a legend. Between him and D'Lo, they took over that game
like 10 times.
Yeah,
which let's be honest, wasn't hard to do. The guy didn't play.
Well, that was like Green's freshman year.
Yeah,
something like that. So
I mean, he was a great. Green was a great player, but he didn't play a lick of defense. But it's also fun to see somebody just tear him up though at the same time. But speaking of chips on the shoulder and adversity, let's talk about the conference awards. Obviously Duke Dean found himself on the first team, which I don't think is a surprise to anyone. So
he only got 1 point or 1 vote.
He only got 1 vote for player of the year overall.
Yeah. No, well, yeah, that's player of the year. But still, I mean, that can be a chip enough, because I think I put in the chat. I mean, 1 vote is almost as disrespectful as no votes.
And so to move on through the awards, Darius Hannah gets second team honors and makes the all defensive team. Zeke Montgomery made the third team, followed by Jaquan Johnson made all freshman team and all bench team. And then of course, Connor Dillon with the third team, all academic honors. I think that there are a few omissions there that Bradley fans have noticed, and I'll pass the torch to whoever, Dad, Dave, whichever one of you wants to jump in and talk a little bit about maybe some of the snubs that occurred here. I'd love to hear it.
We really missed an opportunity for Rick to react to this live. We really did.
Everybody's been talking, obviously, CD. CD is the defensive leader for this team. He was filling in the shoes of Malavai, and obviously those are impossible shoes to fill, but that was the expectation at the beginning of the year. I think that he did a fantastic job all year. And, I don't understand how they pick and choose these. I leaving Jaquan off of there was almost a little bit more of an insult to me. I went back and looked at KenPom. He was number 11 rated player in steals per minute played in the nation. Number 11 in the nation in steals per minute played. So, should he have played more and maybe he could have got onto that team? I don't know, but that kid is a menace. I mean, he's an absolute, menace. He traps everybody every time that they bring the ball down. He's 1-on-1. There's no guarantee they're getting past the 3-point line on a drive. He's poking that thing out every time. So, but Christian Davis, like I said, defensive leader, he got snubbed for sure. 100%.
Yep. Absolutely agree. I mean, I think he's leading the team in rebounding. I mean, he's always one of the highest rebounders game in, game out, it seems like. So that and shutting down the other team's best player, for the most part.
I don't have the numbers, and maybe off the top of your head, David. He's held Sturts to what, like single digits, I think, in both
games.
Right?
Yeah, I want to say it's a combined like 16 or something. It's something super low. I can't remember what it is, but
I think the total is less than his average per game.
Yeah,
for both games combined.
Is that funny? Like, I feel like Wardle teams are so good at shutting down the other team's best player, then we always get crushed by like someone who is like has not had any production all season. It's like never finished that.
The dude from Belmont, Lundman or whatever.
Lane.
Yeah, Lundman, and then Doughty from ISU.
The Italian guy from last week.
Yeah,
that you couldn't remember his name.
The Italian guy. Yeah, absolutely. It's do you think there's we're looking a little bit forward here, but a defensive player of the year and Jaquan's future here in the league?
I don't know. I think
you don't know. Okay.
I mean, because
that's a bold take.
Fire take.
Yeah, always.
No, really. I mean, there's a lot more than just stealing the ball from somebody as being a defensive player. I mean, I absolutely have heartburn that he should have been or was not on the all defensive team. But I mean, there's other things, and it's yet to be determined.
Sure. With
him, I'm hoping obviously
he would. I mean, it would be a tough matchup for him against some of like the bigger guards we've seen in the league at times. I think, but there's no doubt. I mean, there's no questioning his toughness and his tenacity.
Yeah.
The dude's not afraid to go at anybody, and that's one of my favorite things about him. I think that's something that everyone loves about him.
Yep.
Is the dude's just a gamer and he's ready to go. And so that's exciting. Any final thoughts on the awards before we jump into Arch Madness and what's going to happen this weekend?
Whoever voted Duke Johnson or Duke Dean and Coach Wardle there, just keep it up. I believe.
That's right.
I believe in you. Keep it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. So Arch Madness is upon us, and the Braves secured the 2 seed, and they will get the winner of Evansville and Murray State, which I think is about 6:30 tomorrow night. That game will take place somewhere around there, 6:30. How do you feel, Dave? I'll turn over to you. How do you feel about their path, that's laid out in front of them this weekend? Obviously, you got to take it one game at a time, but fans, it's our job to look forward and make predictions and guesses, as things go along here. So how you feeling about the Braves and how things are looking for them here at Arch Madness?
Don't care. Those guys are in the way. Get out of the way. Doesn't matter.
That's the right mentality.
That's what I'm talking about.
In all seriousness, you got to play somebody, right? So, the first matchup, Evansville State, we were up 18 against Evansville at their place at halftime. Obviously let them back into the game towards the end. Murray State's played us tough. I really hated that game at home. It is what it is, though. We got to play somebody. I'd rather play Evansville at that point, but this time of year, everything's changing. The games, it's all one game now at this point. So it's a new season for everybody. The teams that didn't quite, make their expectations due to injuries or whatever the case, they want to make a statement down here. So, I don't want to play anybody, but at the same time, we're the team to beat. So that's
and you're right. That's the one thing about, the conference tournament is it's like you could have a dog shit season, but like you just got to go. If you can go put 3-4 games together in a weekend, you could punch your ticket. And having that carrot that's dangled out there and that opportunity, you're going to get everybody's best shot. I mean, the only times I think that we've really gotten, like, I shouldn't say the only times, but sometimes, you got a lame duck coach that's going to get fired hours after the game's over. You kind of maybe get an uninspired performance out of a team here or there.
Last a few minutes though.
What's that?
That, inspiration, the emotional part about that for a team, knowing they're going to lose their coach, that emotion,
No. You're taking it the wrong way. I don't mean it in a positive way. I mean, like, you see sometimes where everybody knows the coach is done. Like, maybe the locker room's probably falling apart, and they go out in the tournament and they just lay an egg in it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying they play inspired. No.
Well, sometimes they do, but that's short lived.
Yeah, that was last year. Long Beach State. Don't forget, they fired their coach before the conference tournament made it to the dance.
That is a good point.
Maybe that assistant coach was a much better coach.
No. The head coach stayed. That's the thing.
The head coach stayed until they lost their game, and then they fired him. That was wild.
But my take is there isn't a team that we haven't beaten in the Valley.
Okay.
So we can beat them all.
Thank you for that.
Yes, remember last week we convinced ourselves we didn't want to play anybody, so we're right back full circle where we are today. We don't want to play anybody, but as Dave said, you've got to play somebody.
We'll play everybody.
You want to be the best, you got to beat the best.
Thank you,
All
Rick.
right, so I think we can all agree that it doesn't matter. You got to beat whoever's in front of you, and I think that's the mentality the team's going to have. And you're right, Dave. Whoever it is, it's going to be a bad day for them, and we're going to ruin 3 fan bases weekends over the next few days. And that's one of my favorite things about being a fan, honestly. Like, I like winning the game. I like seeing our team succeed. But knowing that you've just completely destroyed another fan base is absolutely wonderful. Like, I take a lot of joy in it, truthfully. It's one of my favorite things about being a fan, and especially, a Bradley fan. And, the Valley community as fans is kind of a tight-knit group. Everybody's going back and forth at each other on X and crap like that. And so, I mean, I would not be too upset about seeing Drake fans just having a total meltdown, come Sunday night.
I expect video footage from whoever is going to be there because I want to see that.
All right, so moving on from Arch Madness, I think we've put that to bed. So
hold on.
Yeah, go for
I
it.
do want to ask Dave. So, what's the over under on beers per game at Arch Madness for you?
Tall boys or little guys?
Whatever you want, whatever your unit of measure is.
Per game,
Sure.
There's 4 games on Friday.
Okay.
So I'm thinking
You're in it for the long haul.
I would
pace yourself.
think 5 per game.
Ooh.
I think that's a good pace.
Hello.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you talking now? What unit of measure are we working with? You talking tall boys or like standard
Tallest boys you can find, Brad.
5? Okay.
Jesus.
The tallest boys you can find. I don't know that they sell the small ones.
No, I don't think they do. And
It's 'cause they
they're
know
not
you're
just the
coming.
tall boys. They're like the ones they sell at Carver now. What are they, like a 23 ouncer or something like that? They're big.
Yeah.
I like where your head's
I
at, Dave.
don't do much. I don't do much reading on the cans.
I don't. Yeah.
Well, it sounds like it's going to be a
You have-
blast, Dave. So just be careful. That's all we ask. And obviously, if you meet people who
no,
have,
be
you know,
completely reckless.
Yes.
Seriously, be careful.
I mean,
If I don't
well,
I've like I said, I've never done the entire weekend, but I've been down there for Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday day before, and if I've made some horrible memories that I forgot immediately. Not my proudest moments. I'll say that.
hey,
Yeah,
we all
just
have
reminisced
our
about them
moments,
last night, actually.
which is the best, by
Yeah.
the way. It's the best when you can reminisce about the times that you barely remember who somebody says, "Hey, do you remember when you did that?" Nope, but I do now. And that's what
Yeah,
you
thank
are. Yes, love it.
Bringing it up.
That's right. All right. So, Brad, you were trying to get to something that we're doing new here. I think we all feel very confident about the Braves going into Arch. I don't think we need to actually talk about the path, get down into the nitty gritty, because they're just going to win 3 games, bump, bump, bump. And we are going to be talking about an NCAA tournament bid. Everybody agrees in the chat. I know you agree. So let's talk about something ridiculous. And Brad, this was your brainchild. So please introduce your new fun idea to everybody. Oh, is Rick's?
He chose out of the options. So, what we're gonna do, I'm gonna lay this out there. What we're doing is Arch Madness, the Arch Madness bracket, but it's mascot cage fight edition. Okay, so the 2 mascots in a cage. You can only win by way of knockout, submission, or death, possibly if that happens. And so we're going to go through this, but the other options for this segment were mascot one-on-one, head coaches one-on-one, or head coaches cage fight edition. We ended up settling on the mascot. Maybe the head. We'll save the head coaches one for another day. I think that would be entertaining to talk about some of that. But we're going to go through the bracket. We're going to go through the Thursday games, talk about the mascots, figure out who everyone thinks would win each matchup. Maybe we can work our way through the tournament if we move somewhat quickly.
Maybe we'll put it as a poll on Twitter. We'll let people vote.
We can do that, yeah. So the first round, we have the 8 seed, the Saluki, takes on the 9 seed, Sycamore Sam from Indiana State. So we have a dog, and Sycamore is a tree, but the mascot, we don't have visuals. Had I had more time to prepare, maybe we could have thrown up some graphics. It's a
No need.
dog wolf looking creature of some kind. I don't know. But at the same time, a Saluki's not really intimidating either. So open to anyone's input. Dave, you got anything on the Saluki and Sycamore Sam? How you think that matchup might go?
One of my favorite lines in Valley history that I've ever heard is it was at Northern Iowa, I believe, and I heard a fan scream, "What's the Saluki?" And I will never forget it. And Sycamores win. Sycamores take it easy. No, that tree's going to fall right on that dog. I don't care how big it is. Sycamores
It's an ugly dog. Saluki's
and choke. I choke.
Yeah. So
You ever seen the actual mascot?
yeah, it's hideous. Yes.
Oh, they used to have 2 of them.
Well, that's even more terrifying.
One was white, one was brown, or something like that. It was
Well, they only have one now, apparently. So are you with Dave on the Sycamore Sam?
Yeah.
All right. Iceman, you got an opinion on this matter?
I don't. I'm just having a good time.
All right. So
keep
we
doing
have
this
Sycamore
bracket.
Sam, winner by death from tree falling over the Saluki. So that moves us on to the 5-12 matchup. So we have Reggie Redbird against Boomer the Bear of Missouri State.
Ooh.
Dave, take it away.
This is going to be my upset pick. I think I'm going Boomer the Bear.
Hell yeah.
Missouri State's got to get something there. Got to take them. Don't like Reggie at all. Every time I've seen him, he's been very unimpressive. So I'm going to go with the Bear.
Bear versus Bird.
Also, Bears are the biggest threat to BU Dave. If you didn't know, by the way, Bears,
With that.
Grizzly, Black Bear, doesn't matter.
Chicago.
They are the biggest threat to me.
Have you had an encounter?
No, it's just the most terrifying animal on earth to me.
What?
I don't know why. That's just Yeah, I don't know what it is. Bears freak me out, man.
Really?
I'm not
That's a
around
hot take. That's the hottest take he's had.
I stumbled across a TikTok video today that had like advice. It said, if it's black, fight back. If it's brown, lay down. If it's white, good night.
Oh,
so,
that sounds just so out of context, so bad. But
that's all you heard. That's bad news. But they say, black bears, you want to get big and be loud. If it's a brown bear, you want to play dead. And then, of course, if it's a polar bear, you're screwed either way.
If I'm with somebody, I'm just.
Or they said, your only chance of defeating a polar bear is either have a gun, have a vehicle to hide in, or have a friend that's slower than you.
Yeah.
Well, Brad, you'd be good if you had Rick with you. You'd be fine.
Yeah.
Unless he gets that cart from last week, then we're really screwed. All right, so that sounds good.
I'm in on the bear as well.
Me too.
Reggie, fuck Reggie.
Thank you.
He's out of the conversation. So let's move on to the 7-10 matchup. So we've got Dunker, who is the Murray State mascot. It's a horse. And then Evansville's mascot is named Ace Purple. It's basically like a leprechaun that wears purple. I mean, that's the way I would describe it. I don't know.
So stupid.
Two very uninspiring mascots, to say the least. Honestly, Ace Purple, you could pass as a jockey, maybe. I don't know if he rides the horse until it collapses. There's a number of strategies that can be implemented in this matchup. I'm sure Dave could maybe let us in on what he thinks is going to happen here.
I'm not a huge Evansville guy myself.
Who is?
I am a big mustache guy. Okay. I gotta go with Ace Purple. I'm going with he inspired me to grow a mustache, actually. Ace Purple. I love that little hint of detail, that little dark mustache underneath his nose is just man, it's enough to he might win this whole thing because of it. I mean,
because of the stash exclusively?
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. It's just the look in his eyes. He's not intimidating at all. I think it's just like he's got a mischievous kind of look about him. I don't know.
Still on the jockey part.
Like a bad Mario guy. I don't know.
Like Wario?
Right, okay.
Or
Mario
Luigi or whatever?
Like Yeah, that's what it reminds me of.
OG?
I think I'm going to go with Dunker because it's the Dunker that can give the ace a very bad day or make it a good day.
I don't know what that means, but I'm inspired by the mustache story, honestly. I mean, and I always say, like, the biggest thing about a mustache is you got to respect it. It commands respect. And so I'm going to bend the knee to Ace Purple and his majestic stash. So moving on to the final first round matchup, we have Sparky, who is God, who the hell is that? That's it's UIC. UIC. It's we have Sparky from UIC, and then we have a tag team from Valparaiso. We have Beacon and Blaze, and I believe they're both like dogs or something. Is like the actual
rules now.
I don't know. We have a tag team, and we got a handicap match here with Beacon and Blaze versus Sparky.
Why do you have two mascots? I don't understand this. Are they Auburn? Because doesn't Auburn have like 8 mascots? 8 sayings?
It seems a little bit confusing. I think you'd almost rather cheer for one than the other at times. Maybe have a little bit more liking towards.
I like where your head's at.
Why not do like an old school throwback? You got Beacon and Blaze. I don't know about the names. The Blaze, I'm not a big fan of. Why not do the Crusaders or something? I don't know. Maybe
I like that.
Beacon and Crusaders. Have them fight it out.
Dave, I do want to ask. So with this team, we talked about like the Jekyll and Hyde stuff, and like, are you somebody who do you find yourself trying to stay positive, or do sometimes you get kind of get caught up? And after that, you can answer Kenny's question about your best Matt Russ story.
Pleasantly optimistic or not pessimistic. I would say I'm definitely. I have a lot of passion, so I find myself at times, not even wanting to watch because my heart is racing, pounding. Like I truly feel the anxiety of like, what if we lose, the worst case scenario. So I would definitely lean on the pessimistic side, but never, I've grown enough in the past couple of years to realize these are kids, they're doing the best they can out there. I'm not blaming any of them individually as much as, in the past I have, so I've done a lot of growing as a fan the last couple of years, but Yeah, I would say I'm more pessimistic than optimistic for sure.
All
I mean,
right.
I would just say I'm supportive. I hope they do well. But I'm also going to be a realist with my expectations. So
Excellent.
I'm
And
not gonna say it's all over after we lose 3 in a row, like
after
some
that
people did.
introspective look into Dave's soul, Kenny wants to know a Matt Russ story without incriminating anybody.
Okay, I'll tell the one that I feel comfortable. Yeah, I'll tell the one that I feel comfortable telling on this. You guys are, if you go down to the arch, you'll if you run into Matt, you'll get a memory. I'll tell you that much. But not to give you too much to look forward to. But we were in Des Moines just this year. Picked him up on the way over there in Davenport. Cruised over there. I don't know if you guys remember, but Bradley beat Drake at the Knapp Center that day.
Hell yeah.
We leave there. We got I can't even remember how many hour ride home. I got like 5.5 or something like that. So get in the truck and head back to this other bar. Can't remember what it was called, but it's the local tavern there in Des Moines. And this bartender's talking about how he's from Peoria and he has gone to Drake. So Matt's upset by this. He's talking to the kid and he's kind of chopping it up with him, giving him a hard time. Well, kid goes, I was kind of being a jerk. Here's a beer. And Matt's like, man, that's awesome. He starts drinking this beer. He gets about 3/4 of the way down. And he goes, what is this? And he goes, oh, that's the NIL beer for Drake. And Matt Russ drank that beer up until that point. Okay, that's shameful. That he drank the dog water for a whole half of a beer before he decided that it wasn't tasty anymore. That's my PG version of my favorite Matt Russ story.
Yeah. Did he finish the beer or did he leave it at that point?
Nope. He left it at that point. He did leave it at
Love that.
So I'm proud of him for that.
I'm
Yeah,
here for
proud
that kind of
him for
petty
that.
too. Definitely got to have that. Definitely gotta have it.
Absolutely, you do.
Absolutely.
I
We
would have
can't-
spit it all back out in a projectile,
How
fashion.
awesome would it have been if the moment the bartender said that, Russ would have shoved his finger down his throat and barked all over the bar.
Oh, wow. Well, that's a pretty
Oh,
PG story, but I actually kind of like it. Both pettiness on the bartender and pettiness on Matt Russ. I'm here for all of
Yeah,
this.
it was well played. Well played.
Oh.
Both sides.
It all gets pissed out in the end anyway.
And on that note, we are heading toward the end of the episode. That is perfect. That is a perfect swan song. Brad, do you have anything else that you'd like to get to before we get Dave and the crew out of here?
No, nothing relevant. Just super pumped we got to do this. Excited for Arch Madness. Dave, thank you so much, man, for your time and doing this. This was a blast. It's been great getting to know a lot of the fans through that chat, and several people have come up to me at the game. And I think it was mentioned in the chat. I met Matt Russ and his wife on Sunday at the Northern Iowa game, which was wonderful. So that was nice. But thank you again for your time, dude. This was a blast. I hope you have a good time at Arch Madness. I hope you drink many, many, many tall boys and just go out there and support the Braves. And hopefully I'll see you Sunday, man, because our plan is to come down Sunday, watch the Braves cut the Nets down.
There you go.
Nope.
Awesome. No, thanks for having me, guys. This was awesome. Great experience. Thanks for thinking of me when you did this, and see you down there.
Yeah,
Consider yourself
absolutely.
a friend of the show, and we like to have more people on as we get moving here. So anyhow, what are you guys doing over there? A little air
I was
traffic
trying to
control?
point at the OG. I was trying to point at the OG because
you're
you
all
were
right.
trying to talk. I had a mute.
No, you're all right.
Go ahead, Rick.
You're on.
Parting
Yep.
thoughts.
Go be you.
I'm telling
Look
you,
'em
folks,
all.
we can't get a
There you
better
go.
co-host than the OG Rick Powell. When you're down in St. Louis,
Hey.
please have a beer for him. Have a beer for the
I-
Braves. Have a
I am
beer
a
for Braves
simple
Talk.
man.
You are a simple man. You are a great man. You are our man. That's what I have to say about that.
Well,
Folks, everybody be safe down in St. Louis. Do whatever it is you want to do. Make sure that you represent the Braves as best as you can. And you know what? Honestly, just have a good time. Go Braves, and we'll see you next time. This is Braves Talk. The opinions and viewpoints expressed on I&C Sports are those of Matt Freites, Brad Powell, and their guests, and not necessarily those of the Matty Ice Media Network. I&C Sports is exclusively owned by Matt Freites and Brad Powell and is brought to you by the Matty Ice Media Network.